Hey, it's me, the concerned party again. Let me tell you a story. It's a story about a man and his family and how all they wanted to do was live their lives, go to work and pay their bills. They wanted affordable, safe, clean housing. They wanted to save their money to hopefully own a home of their own one day. This family had a rent from a very wealthy and somewhat affluent businessman in a small town. This businessman thought he was the king of the world because he was this giant fish in a little pond, and he bulldozed over everyone and everything that got in his way, because all the people who tried to fight back didn't have enough time, money, or power to do anything remotely effective. Well, this family, they didn't like the giant fish in this little pond, but they still did everything right. They still respected him, they tried their hardest to keep up with their bills, and they never missed a month's rent. And then it came time for them to end their agreement with this so-called giant fish and for them to move on. The fish didn't want to give back the family's fairly hefty security deposit. They needed this money, like many others, to continue on with their lives, to push forward towards their goals, and every American's dream of being a homeowner one day. Well, folks, this giant fish, as foul as he was, never wants to give back anyone's security deposit. He just wants to take their hard-earned cash, and he seems to find a way to screw everyone over, usually by intimidating them with big scary threats and hollow words that most people are too scared to fight back against. Well, the man in the story wasn't going to take it. He couldn't. His family needed the money, and his sense of self-worth wouldn't let him, so he started making some noise. He started making flyers and putting them up all over the town, telling the truth about how this so-called businessman had screwed him and others over. And what do you think happens? Do you think the giant fish came to his senses? Do you think he realized that he's not ambivalent? Of course not! Ha ha ha! No, the giant fish calls in a favor from the local police department and has the man arrested. They handcuff him like a common criminal, embarrass him. They rough him up and try to intimidate him. They bring him to a darkened police station and try to berate him into stopping. The man laughs and makes jokes because he knows he's done nothing wrong. The man says, "I'm only posting flyers. I'm stapling them to telephone poles. It's a common practice." And not to mention, these poles are not owned by the big fish or the police department or the town, but a utility company. Also, what about the First Amendment? By the by, the man says, do you know that I love America? That I love the freedoms that this country affords me, free speech being the first and foremost. And do you know that for the first half of this year, while the big fish was staying home collecting his rent and intimidating his tenants, the man was in the Middle East. He was working hard, hand in hand, with a large defense contractor to make the world a safer place to uphold those freedoms. And do you know, the man says, I'm on your side. When the man came back from the Middle East, he went to work with a well-known law enforcement agency as a civilian contractor to try to assist them in keeping one of America's largest cities safe. And this is how you treat the man? Like a common criminal, working at the behest of the big fish to hurt the little man and his family, to try to scare him. Well, the cop, he laughs and he fills out his paperwork and he says, I hope you learned your lesson. And he pushes the man out into the cold, blustery night, making him walk over a mile back to his car with no jacket. Well, the man thinks, this only serves to prove my point further, that the big fish can't get away with this. So the man goes back the next day and he hangs up those flyers again, and they get ripped down by the corrupt cop, or the big fish in the small town. But the man keeps going back and he keeps hanging those flyers up. And when the big fish gets mad that the man won't stop, he does what he always does. He tries to intimidate him. On a holiday, nonetheless. A holiday about giving thanks for what we have and being appreciative for all that we have earned. The fish does what he always does. He tries to bully and scare and hurt. But the man won't be bullied. He loves his family, he loves his son, he loves his wife, and wants to keep them safe from men like the big fish, and he will not lay down. He will fight the good fight for them and for the little guy, the silent majority, the ones who don't have a voice to speak for themselves. The story doesn't have an ending yet, but maybe some of you out there, the rest of the silent majority, the unheard masses of people who don't want to sit back and let people like the big fish win, maybe they can help the man finish it. So spread the word and realize you too have a voice. Happy holidays.